You ever hear a sound that you can't quite place? A hum so low you feel it in your bones more than you hear it with your ears. That's what started happening in Deepwell, Oregon, back in 1999. It began with a fisherman. He called the local sheriff, sounding panicked, and said the lake was humming. The next call came from a woman in town. She claimed her husband couldn't sleep because of voices coming from under the water. At first, everyone laughed it off. It was the height of Y2K paranoia, after all, and Deepwell was just another quiet logging town nobody ever paid attention to. But when I started digging through the archives, the old police logs, the audio interviews, the faded weather reports, something just didn't add up. Because every single one of those strange calls came in at the exact same time, 3:17 a.m., and they didn't stop. Not for months, not even after the lake itself was gone. Deepwell, Oregon, used to sit nestled at the base of the Cascade Range. It was a small place. It started with headaches, then nosebleeds. Then, a strange unease settled over the town. Animals, especially dogs and deer, started avoiding the shoreline, acting skittish and afraid. Some residents claimed they heard whispers when the wind died down faint, sibilant voices that seemed to call their names from under the water's surface. That's when I decided I had to go there myself. By the time I arrived, the town already felt hollowed out. The gas station was closed, pumps wrapped in caution tape. The old church on the hill was boarded up. But the lake looked wrong. It was perfectly still to still, like a sheet of black glass reflecting a gray sky. Locals who'd stuck around told me the sound was always worse near the dam. A low, constant hum you couldn't quite hear, but you could feel. It was like a heartbeat under the ground, a rhythm that got inside your chest and wouldn't let go. Now, there's actually a scientific term for this phenomenon: infrasound. These are sound waves with frequencies below 20 hertz, which is the lower limit of what human ears can typically detect. But just because you can't hear it doesn't mean it can't affect you. Infrasound is known to be capable of triggering feelings of fear, anxiety, nausea, and even panic. Some paranormal researchers believe infrasound is the real explanation behind so-called haunted places, that these low frequencies vibrate our eyeballs, causing us to see fleeting shapes in our peripheral vision, or create a sense of dread that our brains interpret as a ghostly presence. But in Deepwell, it wasn't just a feeling. It was more than a trick of the mind. The town's own engineer, a man named Robert Keller, kept a meticulous journal from 1998 to 2000. He was working maintenance at the dam, obsessed with finding the source of the vibration. Here's one of his entries, dated October 1999. Tested frequency again, 17.3 hertz, consistent. Louder near base of dam, sounds organic, like it's breathing. We'll dig deeper tomorrow. A week after that entry, Keller wrote something even more chilling. The sound changed. Now pulsing, irregular, felt it in my chest. Couldn't stay long. 3 days after writing that, Robert Keller quit his job and moved his family out of state. He told his wife he couldn't stand to hear it anymore, not the sound itself, but the feeling of it. He said he could still feel the hum, even when he was hundreds of miles away. People started leaving Deepwell in droves. The ones who stayed behind said they couldn't sleep. They claimed their dreams were filled with water, with a crushing pressure, with a sense of being submerged in darkness. Some said the lake was trying to talk to them. Others whispered that it was remembering something ancient and terrible. In 2000, a local man named Jim Rowe, a radio hobbyist, decided to test the theory himself. He was convinced something was alive down there. So, he took a waterproof hydrophone, attached it to a long cable, and dropped it into an old drainage pipe that ran deep beneath the dam, right into the heart of the lake. He let the recorder run for exactly 47 minutes. When he retrieved it, he played it back. The first 5 minutes were nothing but static and the gurgle of water. Then, a rhythm emerged, slow, deliberate, pulsing like a colossal heartbeat. Rowe, terrified but fascinated, brought the recording to the sheriff's office. They played the tape on the station's old cassette deck. According to the deputy on duty, the moment the heartbeat sound started, the windows in the office began to shake violently. Word spread like wildfire. Reporters came from Portland, then Seattle. One national news outlet even picked up the story briefly, calling it the Oregon hum. But after that initial burst of interest, nothing, complete silence. The sheriff's station suddenly claimed the tape was lost, misplaced during an office cleaning. Jim Rowe, the man who made the recording, stopped answering his calls and refused to speak to anyone about it. The only other person who supposedly got a copy of that tape was Robert Keller, the former engineer. He allegedly took it to a friend who worked in the acoustics lab at Oregon State University for analysis. The results that came back were baffling. The report concluded that the sound was not mechanical. It wasn't from the dam's turbines or any geological activity they could identify. And here's the truly bizarre part. The pulse, the heartbeat, would change its tempo whenever there was noise near the surface of the lake, footsteps on the dam, voices, a boat engine. It was as if whatever was down there was listening. After receiving that analysis, Keller stopped talking about the lake entirely. He never mentioned the hum or the tape again. He passed away in 2005. The official cause of death was heart failure. He was only 47. His body was found near a riverbank in Idaho, hundreds of miles from Deepwell. But his wife swore that in the weeks leading up to his death, he'd been having terrible nightmares about the lake again. Then, on the night of May 14, 2001, the Deepwell Dam collapsed. The official report cited prolonged, low-frequency ground vibration that had compromised the structural integrity of the foundation over many years, but the few locals who remained told a different story. They said they heard the hum rise that night, louder and more powerful than ever before, a deafening, bone-shattering roar right before the concrete walls gave way. 21 people who had refused to evacuate lost their lives. The entire town was officially evacuated and later dissolved by the state. The lake, the one they said had no bottom, drained out in a matter of hours, leaving behind a scarred, muddy basin. But here's the thing that will keep you up at night. The story doesn't end there. Seismic monitors, placed near the site years later for geological surveys, still pick up strange vibrations. They come every single night. Always at 3:17 a.m., and they always register the same frequency, a rhythmic pulse of 72 beats per minute, the exact same as an average human resting heart rate. A new, smaller reservoir was eventually built in 2009. The few people who moved back to the area cautiously renamed it Stillwater, but the hum came back. Scientists who have tried to measure it say it is probably just geological shifting tectonic plates or deep thermal vents releasing pressure. But if you stand by the shoreline on a still night, you can still feel it. A faint vibration that travels up from the solace of your feet. And if you stand there quietly for long enough, some swear it starts to sync up with your own heartbeat. They called it Deepwell Lake because no one ever found the bottom. But maybe it wasn't the water that was deep. Maybe it was what was sleeping underneath. Thanks for joining me down this rabbit hole. What do you think was making the sound in Deepwell? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories that blur the line between science and the unexplained, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next investigation. See you next time.